Hey y'all, I'm gonna be talking about Arman Sarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot, the fight night. Really good fight night. It's a damn shame how the UFC runs their business because so many fight nights are just terrible. Jessica I headlining, stuff like that. That stuff is terrible, man. So it doesn't make sense how this card would have seven, six like good fights that should be like dispersed more equally, you know what I mean, over like the fight nights, you know. You have Habib's little brother or whatever. Sorry about that. You have Shavkat, you have Sarukyan Gamrot, two dudes who are going to be, forces in the lightweight division for years to come. You had Rodolfo Vieira, cool prospect, so good at jiu-jitsu. You had maybe that's it. Maybe there weren't that many. But just those fights alone, Umar, Arman, Shavkat, those are like really good fights, and they shouldn't be all on some, this shitty, fight night before Izzy. It should be those fights should be dispersed more evenly. Anyway, what I'd like to talk about first, quick drink of water, real quick. No water, fuck it. Anyway, first I'm gonna talk about Shavkat versus Neil Magny. Cause as good as I think Arman and Gamrot are, I uh, I like Shavkat more. I've seen more of his fights. I've been watching him since his debut, when he just destroyed Cowboy, Evil Cowboy, just manhandling Evil Cowboy, and that's not easy to do. So Shavkat came out just boxing stance, orthodox boxing stance. He kind of looked like Justin Gaethje with so much less movement, but like when Justin just like kind of stands still and he's just like standing in front of the guy, like testing him out. He looked kind of like Justin Gaethje. So Neil came out. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, man. I think just it's possible, man, that the moment gets to you. You know what I mean? It's just like it's scary, bro. It's scary. Being against a prospect like Shavkat, you know what I mean? Like so much hype around him, and like you're being put there like as Neo Magny. Your job is to feed coal to the hype train. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to be in that fucking position, especially when you're someone like Neo Magny who has like faced good opposition in the UFC. Neo Magny is not a pushover. You know what I mean? However, he got fucked up by our RDA, welterweight RDA, and that is not a good look, you know what I mean? Because RDA obviously, is a lightweight. And Neil, to his credit, came out. He was looking swole, got some cool hair. He looked very fit, but it was just, all that fitness doesn't do anything when you get in front of somebody. You know what I mean? You're in the cage, locked in the cage with somebody, and they just like are scary. You know what I mean? And they have that aura about them. And Neil, yeah, Neil, he just like came out bouncing around, lots of energy in the opening seconds, and he just like threw like a lazy like round kick to Shavkat's body. Shavkat caught it with his left arm, punched him pretty hard with his right hand, and then just took his ass down. You know what I mean? Just very easy stuff. I think it was in like the opening minute of the first round. Um, it's just puzzling, man. Like obviously this dude is a better wrestler than Neil Magny. So why would you not set up your kicks super well? You know what I mean? Of course, easier said than done. But yeah, the commentary was good. It's unrelated, I guess, but my notes are saying that Brendan Shavkat was just like beating Neil's ass, just like smothering him and like establishing dominant positions. And Brendan Fitzgerald, he was like, I like Brendan Fitzgerald because he actually knows the fuck he's talking about a lot of the time. Like he works to like understand like jujitsu and like striking and stuff. But Brendan was talking about like Neil Magny's new kid, like his family and stuff, as Shavkat was like actively trying to like disadvantage him and his family. Really funny, just kind of dystopian and sad. Um, Shavkat was in full guard, but he was able to posture up so strong. Neil had him in full guard, like had his legs wrapped around him, but Shavkat was still able to just like posture up and like punch him really hard, just like punch him in the face, punch him in the body. Um, so they stood up again. Neil, and the opening rounds, Neil was a lot more spry. He was able to like scramble and like create to like wall walk, like posture up against the fence and stuff, and like get into like standing clinch positions. So they broke, stand up, kneel in and out, bouncy footwork. Shavkat comes in off a Neil Magny missed head kick and takes Neil's ass down like super easy, you know, because again, or something that I think is just super important for anybody who practices martial arts, you know, is ever in this position where like they are like kicking somebody, you know what I mean? If somebody kicks you and like it doesn't knock you out or whatever, you have to like punish that. Like you can't let that go unpunished. Whether that is, you know, catching the kick, punching with the body, punching with the head, catching the kick, running through and taking their ass down. You just can't let somebody kick you. Can't do it because they're just in too disadvantaged of a position if they don't land a clean shot. You know what I mean? Even if they do land a clean shot, if you're able to just like suck it up, come forward, punch them in the fucking face, it works. Um, and that's exactly what Shavkat was doing. Every time Neil kicked him, Shavkat took him down and punished him. Every time Neil came in with a lazy kick, Shavkat punished him. Um, so yeah, Shavkat, he just like in Neil's full guard uses Neon Belly to like slice across Neil's guard. Shavkat pushing him in the fence, pushing him against the fence, like um he gets into full guard again, Shavkat, and he postures up, punching Neil really hard, punching him in the sternum, punching him in the body. That is really valuable. Usman, Kamaru Usman, he of course many fighters have been doing this forever, but Usman, when he was able to punch Gilbert on the ground, like I that was just so effective. And I think just I mean Nick Diaz was doing it in fucking Strikeforce, you know what I mean? He was punching dudes in the body off the missed kicks and like punching dudes in the body off the ground. But I've just seen it more recently. Dudes ground and pounding like dudes to the body. That sucks. Okay, that sucks so bad. Getting punched in the sternum when you're in somebody's when somebody's in your guard. That sucks. Um and Neil um was actually the thing is when uh Shavkat he threatened a guillotine. Neil like pulled guard pretty well, and Neil was in like the Kevin Holland position. You know when he was like against Jacare. Rest in peace, Jacare. Man, yeah, the UFC is disgusting, man. Feeding fucking Jacare to somebody like Kevin Holland. You know what I mean? Let him fight an old ass man. Anyway, um, Neil was in the Kevin Holland position, um, like punching Shavkat, and Neil actually like, generated some good power off the Kevin Holland position, and I think it's just you know when you're so athletic and so long and you're able to generate so much power just because of your limbs. You know what I mean? There's no reason not to try to like get some good looks in if you're ever in the Kevin Holland position. You know what I mean? Um, but you know, off the Kevin Hall position, like Shav didn't like it at all, so he like um got back into side control. But Neil was able to attack the heel hook. And you know, one of my faults is that I don't know as much about grappling as I know about standing and just I don't know much about grappling as I know about standing, you know what I mean? But he was just like really threatening it. Like he Neil was able to get like Shavkat's like foot like under his armpit, and the coaches Neil's corner is like, you got it, you got it, you got it. But every time when it looked like Neil was able to go, like actually threaten it like pretty severely, Shavkat just like stepped like close to Neil's head and started punching him, making Neil like relinquish the position. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I hear discourse like meme discourse like people being like, "Oh, heel hooks don't work in MMA," when obviously they fucking do, but they potentially are not as valuable as they would be in a standard grappling uh, thing. You know what I mean? Just like rolling with a dude, because you can punch dudes in the face. You know what I mean? Somebody snatches up your heel, you punch them in the face. You know what I mean? And they are worried about um, you punching them in the face, so they will let go of the heel hook. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what's happening. Shavkat was defending the heel hooks very well, and I mean Neil wasn't just like he knew what he was doing with the heel hook, you know what I mean? But Shavkat was able to defend. Um, so pretty sure that was the end of the round, and then standing, Shavkat was jabbing him up pretty good. He was jabbing him up pretty darn good. Um, Frustrating because Neil was kicking going to the body when just when you kick and go to the body, just the avenues to where the person you're kicking they can like catch the kick. You know what I mean? It's so much higher than if you are like doing the low kick, for example. Trying to kick your opponent's lead ankle. You know what I mean? Because if the opponent starts like reaching down to try to catch the kick, potentially you could just like bring that bitch up. You know what I mean? Like feint low and then kick him in the head. You know what I mean? And it's just much harder to catch a kick if someone's doing a low kick. Um, so yes, frustrating that Neil wasn't going for the low kick. Um, Shavkat doing a great job using his athleticism, not feinting like fucking Adesanya or Volkanovski or anything, but like using effective feints while standing, feinting takedowns, feinting the right hand, feinting kicks, and Shavkat was able to hit him with a dirty spinning back kick from Orthodox. So nice, hit Neo as he was coming in. Um, then this was in the second round, the beginning of it. Then my Wi-Fi was bad. But at 3 minutes 20 seconds, Shavkat was in side control, and Magny was against the fence, so he was using his feet to like kick, to like push himself off the fence. You know what I mean? But it was like nothing doing, kinda. Shavkat was in side control, and Neil's coach, you're able to hear the coaches pretty well. That's one of the things I like about the Apex, man. You can hear the coaches so well. You know what I mean? Neil's Magny's coach was telling him to connect Neil's left knee and left elbow. You know what I mean? Try to connect your left knee and your left elbow, telling him to remember his frames. You know what I mean? Framing being a very important principle in I guess jujitsu, but just like grappling in general. Like, you know what I mean? Like you frame. Um, you are like creating frames with like your arms and your legs so that the person who is like on top of you can't just like fuck you up. You know what I mean? Can't just like easily pass your guard and like smash you. Um, and once Neil did try to connect his left knee and his left elbow and was remembering his frames, the position changed to less advantageous position for Shavkat. So nice, I guess. Yeah, Shavkat was still though. Shavkat was in like modified kind of side mount, um, like pushing him against the wall, punching him in the fucking face. Um, Shavkat would stand up, like posture up, and he would like shove Neo Magny's legs aside, punch him in the face, punch him in the body. He was just brutalizing him, man. It was really bad. Um, so the finish came. Um, Shavkat like pushed down on Magny's head and like stood up, trying to get like a better position. Um, and it was like a scrambling position. And Shavkat, he like with his left arm, he like pretended, he like feinted that he was about to try to go for the guillotine with the left arm. So Neo like adjusted accordingly and like moved. But Shavkat like anticipated this and like full bore went for the choke with his left arm instead of like feinting it again. Um, got the fat of his arm under of course Shavkat isn't fat, but got just the meaty part of his arm under Neil's neck. With his right hand he started punching Neil's head. The Nate Diaz Conor McGregor classic, right hand punching Neil Magny's head. Shavkat caught his left hand with his right, um, and pushed Neil Magny forward and was able to lock in the guillotine. Super nice. Um, uh, I didn't think Neil would tap because there was only like 10 seconds left, but he tapped. So Shavkat is probably a strong ass dude. Um, Shavkat tried to like immediately like hug Neil after, but Neil was not having it, and I totally get that because I struggle with that too. Like dudes will. Well, no, actually, but I just understand. fighters not wanting to just be buddy buddy with a fighter who just like choked their ass out. You know what I mean? Like I get it completely. Um, Shavkat was big, bro. He was about Bisping's size. He was like Bisping's size. He was about as tall as Bisping. Um, yeah, Neil Magny only landed about 11 significant strikes. It was pretty one sided, to say the least. It was pretty one sided. Shavkat post fight interview was saying some cool things to his translator, saying like just talking about his patience and how he wasn't taking Neil for granted, and how he's patient, how he like sets things up and he waits for the opportunity. Super cool. He called out Stephen Thompson. Of course, he called out Stephen Thompson. I would call out Stephen Thompson. You know what I mean? I would fight Stephen Thompson on a 12,000 contract. You know what I mean? Because he just is old now. You know what I mean? And the game has passed him by. I do think he, of course, is such a good fight for anybody in the top 20. For his name brand, and also if you're able to get him against a striker, it's just going to be fireworks. You know what I mean? Every time he's been against a striker in the past 5 years, it's been fireworks. Shavkat, I don't know who he should fight. Michael Chiesa, maybe. The dude who Kevin Lee kicked in the face, whatever the fuck that dude's name is. He should fight somebody like that. Because Neil Magny, he is not, the best. He is no Gilbert Burns. You know what I mean? Okay. Next, I will talk about Arman versus Gamrot. I hadn't seen Gamrot fight coming into this fight. I watched the free fight the UFC put out. And he looked good. But coming into this fight, I think well, of course, I'll just talk about the fight and what I thought about it and stuff. But it's just seeing Arman in his UFC debut do what he did against Islam. Like arguably, take Islam to a decision and just look as good as he did in that fight. Seeing Arman do that, I think it kind of gave me rose-colored glasses for the fight. I was like, oh, Arman is going to beat this dude's ass, you know what I mean? Even though this dude Gamrot is very, very, very good. I just wasn't rating Gamrot too highly because I'm an Arman fanboy, Arman's a handsome motherfucker, man. You see that dude? Big doe eyes, nice hair. He was handsome. And just thinking about this fight, you know what I mean, like leading up to it, it's just Gamrot is so much older. Arman is 24, Gamrot is either 30 or something like that. Sorry about that, but Gamrot is just older. He has so much more experience. And over a 5-round fight, considering also how much more experience Gamrot has fighting 5-round fights, it just the odds were kind of stacked against Arman. But I wasn't thinking about it because I was just like, oh, Arman is the GOAT, because he did so well against Islam, who I rate very highly. So they came out bouncing around, feinting, with behind the lead, or feinting with the round kick. Sorry about that. So fast. God, they were fast. And again, I will reiterate that I don't know as much about grappling as I do about standing up. Like I'm not able to articulate like what I see grappling as well as I are able to articulate what I see standing. I'm working on it. Sorry. But Arman was throughout the whole fight, he was landing the round kick to the body from orthodox. The whole fight he was landing that kick. He is super good at it. Because I guess they're working on it a lot because Gamrot has a tendency to go southpaw. But even when Gamrot was orthodox, Arman was able to land it sometimes. Not as well as when Gamrot was southpaw. But Arman tried to kick Gamrot with his rear leg to the body, and Gamrot would catch it and lift the leg up as high as he could and try to run through, which is what you do if you catch a kick and you're a wrestler typically. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just like muscle memory at that point. You know what I mean? But Arman was just so dynamic and dynamic, I guess, but just so strong. So strong on one leg, he was able to hop around and like maintain his balance, and Gamrot couldn't fucking take him down. Couldn't take him down. So Arman he hit a nice 1-2 into the lead leg roundhouse, and that is super cool. I really like the 1-2 into the lead leg roundhouse kick because obviously, after the 1-2, the two is with your right hand, the right side of your body. So um, potentially the person who you're fighting, after you land the 1-2, they might think, oh, well, they're going to follow up with the 3. They're going to follow up with their left hand. Or they might just disengage, you know what I mean? After you land the 1-2, the opponent is like kind of in like, oh shit, what are you going to do mode, you know what I mean? So if you're able to do something that might potentially just like throw them off a little bit and like maybe like subvert their expectations, like why not? So with the 1-2 to the lead leg roundhouse kick, it's just nice, left, right, left. Like if you're able to just kind of switch sides like that, like it's advantageous. Your opponent isn't really thinking about that. You know what I mean? Gamrot tried to uh, leg kick Armand. Armand took his ass down, wrapping his hands around the waist, wrapping his hands around Gamrot's waist, but Gamrot rolls through. Just disgusting. It was a Granby roll, I guess, but when I say Granby roll, I'm only saying it because Bisping said it. I don't even know what a Granby roll is, you know what I mean? But he rolled through. Gamrot got into kind of an advantageous position. And Gamrot was honestly landing in these advantageous positions off of takedowns a lot. Nobody. It's very hard to say who was the better wrestler in the octagon that night, but Gamrot was landing in advantageous positions a lot of the time. He was able to push. He would like wrap his arms around Armand's waist and like hold him against the fence a lot. He was able to do it a lot. So yes, 2 minutes left in the first round. Armand was landing the lead leg roundhouse kick to the body when Gamrot was in southpaw, kicking him with his lead leg to the body. Again, Armand would get his leg caught, but and he would get his leg caught, and his head was his leg was literally above his head. He was above his head. I recommend anybody who is listening to this podcast to step into MMA gym or a kickboxing gym or whatever is closest to them and what is easiest to them, to just understand what it's like for these like things that you see in fights that may seem like no big deal or whatever. I want you to see what it's like to have them happen to you. Because when somebody catches your kick and they put it above your head, you're gonna fall. You know what I mean? Like you're just gonna fall because there's just too much like going against you. You know what I mean? You're only on one leg. The other person is trying as hard as they can to get you down. You're gonna fall. But Armand didn't. He's just a strong ass dude. So Armand again, he would go downstairs with the back orthodox roundhouse. He would go downstairs and then he would go upstairs. Kick low and then kick high. Dirty. They're just so fast. Armand's corner was telling him to hands first, then kicks. You know what I mean? Hands first, then kicks. And that's just true. You know what I mean? If you're just like entering in off kicks, you're not setting them up with your hands. And the opponent could step in off a kick. The opponent could catch your kick more easily. Always try to set up your kicks with your hands. You know what I mean? The corner was saying, use your cross. So from orthodox, your cross is your rear hand. So rear hand cross, low kick, rear hand cross, high kick. Just basic principle, setting up your kicks with your hands. In the first round, Armand was kind of piecing him up. He was jabbing him. He was kicking him to the body very well. He would left hook and like get out of there. You know what I mean? Armand would. So first round clearly to Armand, in my opinion. I'm not gonna score this. I am not mad about the decision. It was such a close fight, and I do think Gamrot did enough to win. But I do think this is the kind of fight where if you run it 10 times, it's going to be wildly... Well, I do think it'll be wildly different each time that you run this fight back, but I also think that it's just like, this is a 50-50 matchup, you know what I mean? Yes, second round started. Someone tried to take the other down. They ended up in like a 50-50 like position with the Wizards. Super cool, so powerful. Scrambling very well. 40 seconds in, And with 40 seconds left in the fight, or 40 seconds left in the round, the second round, Armand landed a really nice body kick, and Gamrot just like doubled over for a second, and his just like behavior was changed for a second. So very nice. Armand was landing the jab very well. Gamrot Gamrot was having success with his rear hand, whether his rear hand was from orthodox or southpaw. He was having success with his rear hand, I think, just because his length obviously was much longer than Armand, but he was kind of just he was kind of crafty in there. You know what I mean? He wasn't just like he didn't look like Calvin Cater or some shit. You know what I mean? Like he had some unorthodox looks, and he was able to land his rear hand as a lead often. Um, Third round started. Armand just round kicking him off the bat. You know what I mean? The guys are punching into the clinches. The At the third round, the commentators were saying that they haven't slowed down at all, you know, since the opening bell, and I just disagreed. As fast as they're moving, as much energy as they're putting out, these dudes literally are some of the best in shape dudes in the world. You know what I mean? But you are going to be moving slower in the third round than you are at the beginning of the first round, and they were. Of course, they were still moving so fast, and they were throwing everything with just like so much power, but they were slower. But who cares? Armand hit Gamrot with a nice uppercut with the rear hand as Gamrot tried to get in on a single. And apparently Gamrot's thing was the low single DC special. I don't know, that's high single, I guess. High crotch is DC special. But apparently Gamrot's thing prior to this fight was his whole thing was getting on a single, you know, running through on the single leg and getting securing a takedown off it. But Armand every time was able to negate it and create a scramble position. Very dirty. At this point, Armand was still quicker to the punch. Because Gamrot was landing combos and stuff, but a lot of the time Armand was able to just stop Gamrot like before he even started with a nice jab, sitting down on the jab. And that is so valuable. If you're able to get your offense going before the other opponent's able to get their offense going, a lot of the times you don't even need defense. You know what I mean? Of course, you need to work on your defense, but if you're able to do that, it's like UFC, bro, playing the game. If the opponent's about to start a kick or whatever, and you just sit down with a nice jab, or you're able to land the rear hand, like you're gonna stop their animation. You know what I mean? And Armand was doing that. He was stopping Gamrot's animations, you know, before he was able to get him going. Something I noticed: Armand was amazing at either being in punching range or being in kicking range. A lot of fighters, they'll have the problem where they are like in no man's land. You know what I mean? No man's land being the range in the middle of punching range and kicking range. And when you're in that range, it's bad, not good, because you can be either kicked or punched. However, obviously, if you're in punching range, you can only be punched pretty much, kneed, I guess, and stuff, tripped. But you're only worried about like close stuff. You know what I mean? If you're in kicking range, you're pretty much only worried about long stuff, takedowns, kicks, like long step-in jabs. No man's land, you're worried about all that shit. Don't be in no man's land. You know what I mean? Unless you're like your style is like tailor made for no man's land, don't do that. Either be all in or all out. You know what I mean? And Armand was doing amazing at being all in or all out. I believe this is the third round. Gamrot hit him with a nice punch. He wobbled Armand for a second. Pretty sure it was a rear hand, just a clean rear hand. And off of Armand looking steady, I'm pretty sure Gamrot rushed in and like clinched him against the fence. And okay, I kind of take it back what I said about the score of this fight. I do think Armand should have won it. However, he grabbed the fence like 10 times, like more than 10 times probably. It was one of the worst fence grabbing performances, or I guess the best fence grabbing performance that I've seen in a while. It was really bad, and I think he should have gotten points deducted. Because he was just grabbing it like it was legal. It was really bad. Anyway, Armand was doing the ATT thing, you know, post up on the hand when the person is like pushing you against the fence, using the wall to like build back up his base. Guillermo had his hands locked around Armand. They broke. I think 30 seconds left in the fourth round. Um, Armand hit him with a spinning back kick to the body off of Orthodox. Made Gamrot take a breath. Take a second. Um, both of them landed there. Both of them were landing their rear hand leads. Gamrot from Southpaw and Armand from Orthodox. Um, Armand was going to the body well. Um, uh, no, this is the third round. Sorry. Um, at the final last 10 seconds of the third round, Armand hit him with two body kicks in a row. Disgusting. Um, my thought was that at this point, I wrote down in my notes that I thought Armand had won all three of those rounds up until that point. Yes. First 10 seconds of the fourth round, Gamrot was landing heavy to the body, heavy to the head, looking pretty good. Armand hit him with a nice body kick. 3 minutes, 50-second mark. Armand hit him with a spinning back fist, bro, off Armand's missed kick. And that is just a shame. Because when your opponent misses a kick, rather than you just like blindly going in there, you need to like see what the best option is. You know what I mean? You need the best tool for the job. You know, if you just like see your opponent misses a kick and you just like blindly rush in there against a good ass dude, they probably are going to be able to use their momentum off the missed kick to like hurt you badly. You see it off John Wei Lee, who knocked out Joanna. You see it off I don't know, but a lot of times when somebody will just rush in without thinking off a missed kick, they will get hurt really badly. You know what I mean? And that is what happened with Gamrot. He got he was stunned off Armand's back fist because he just like went in there and he wasn't like thinking. You know what I mean? Gamrot fell off that, but Armand tried to like get him down, but dude, just every time these dudes were on the ground, they were rolling through and they were creating like clinch positions off it. It was crazy, and they were doing it like until like the final 30 seconds of the match. You know what I mean? Yes. Halfway through the fourth round, Armand was looking good still in the fourth round. I'm pretty sure, or he was. However, he was getting sloppier. He was just like kicking with his lead leg, like with no setup. You know what I mean? Big difference as to how calculated and methodical he looked in the beginning rounds. Because you're just tired, bro. And I really do think he just needs more experience in 5-round fights. You know what I mean? Because potentially, if he has more experience in 5-round fights, he might still be more clinical in these championship rounds. You know what I mean? Amal hitting him with some nice left hooks. Kicked Gamrot really hard to the body at a minute and 30 seconds left in the fourth round. Gamrot was pushing Armand against the fence, wall walking, ATT method. Armand was using he would use both hands on one of Gamrot's arms that because Gamrot was like wrapped him up. You know what I mean? Like he was hugging Armand's waist. Armand would break it by using both hands. Eventually, Gamrot like kind of got a body lock off Armand's back, like against the fence. And Armand, it was a situation where potentially Gamrot could have threatened just the rear naked. It probably would have been anything doing, but he still could have probably. However, he probably would have been out of position, but he's too smart of a grappler to do that. Armand was grabbing the fence, bro, when Gamrot had him in that position. And the ref, I guess it was Herzog, right? The dude who always creepily like, he's not creepy, but he just like he'll like kind of like grab his hands. You know what I mean? He'll like he's wearing the gloves and he'll like mess with his hands. It was that dude, and you gotta take a point. If you are in a position to where you might get choked out and out of desperation you grab the fence, you should get a point docked. I'm not a ref, I guess though. But at the in the final round, Armand's corner was saying that he had to win this round. They were very adamant about him having to win this round, which really tells me a lot. I don't know what it does, but it was just saying that they were just adamant that he had to keep his standing, A, and that he had to win this round, B. You know what I mean? They were saying that whenever they were wrestling, it was not to Armand's advantage. They're literally saying no more wrestling, no more wrestling. And I agree with that. That boy Gamrot was wrestling like a dream. Uh, I wrote down that both these dudes are swole. Both these dudes are swole, man. Those are some swole ass dudes. Um, Fifth round starts. Gamrot was landing the 1-2. Gamrot was definitely looking stronger than Armand in the final round. Armand hit him with a nice leg kick. As Gamrot was on one leg, knocked him off his feet. Gamrot was landing the rear hand. Very close fight. Looking back at it with no point deductions, which I argue that there should have been because Armand grabbed the fence more than 10 times, I think Armand should have won this fight. Respect to Gamrot, though. He called out Justin Gaethje. No way in hell Justin Gaethje fights this man. He would not do that. He should fight like... Well, they need to clear out the division of these old-ass dudes. So he should fight RDA or something like that. You know what I mean? Armand, I don't know, bro. I thought he should have won. It's tough. Okay. Habib's little brother. So Umar Nurmagomedov, dude is a hooper. Been watching him. He's just a hooper. Super fast kicks. Him and the little one in Bellator, they fight exactly the same. Really funny. His opponent, Nate Manis, he had a decent record in the UFC. He was 3-0 in the UFC, but just look at the dudes he fought and their records, and I mean, come on, man. This dude wasn't just some shitty ass terrible fighter, but this dude wasn't amazing, you know, who Umar was fighting. But anyway, Umar off the opening bat, kicked him in the lead leg. It was southpaw. So Umar's left leg was kicking Nate's right leg, you know, because the right leg is in front, obviously, in southpaw. Yes. Nate was in the opening minute. He was just like coming in wild off these the big overhand lefts, and Umar's response to that was just ducking his head down and just like backing up super fast. And like, you know, it's MMA, so of course the first line of defense is just backing up. You know what I mean? But it's just, you know, you don't really like to see that much. You know, like he could instead instead of just backing up like pretty much the whole length of the cage, he could duck in on a clinch. He could like, since it's an overhand left, he could you know, circle to Nate's right, you know what I mean? Like getting away from the power of it, you know what I mean? But whatever. You know, Umar was never hurt. I think he was hurt once off of Nate's kick in the second round, in the second or third round, but or Nate's punch like in the second or third round. But Umar, I think ESPN. I know they're not official, but I think ESPN said that Nate only landed one significant strike. Pretty impressive. Umar was bouncing in and out very fast. Umar somehow ended up in on top in full guard. In the opening minutes of this, Umar was content to just kind of sit in Nate's guard. You know what I mean? Just trying to like advance his position. Like he would feint, like it was just like the fucking video game, man. He would like feint like a transition, and then just like kind of stay there and just like keep working, like trying to like pass Nate's full guard. Working like a little bit, just like punching him, kind of elbowing him. But late in the first round, Umar was pressing him against the fence. Umar's left knee was like on the ground, like pushing Nate into the fence. He was like trying to like step over Nate's legs. Minute left in the first round, Umar was in modified side control, just working, punching him. And in like the final like 20 seconds or so, he was kind of threatening an arm lock, but it wasn't really there. Punched him a little bit. The corner was the corner of Habib. Well, I guess, you know, Habib in the corner was telling Umar to be careful with Nate's left hand. Obviously, be careful with Nate's left hand because it's pretty much the only weapon he has. You know what I mean? Uh, Habib was saying that when you take him down, try to take the back, and he's yours. Um, I agree. Nate really didn't have anything for him on the ground other than just trying to survive. You know what I mean? Habib was saying, keep working, everything's going well. Habib said, when you control the one hand, throw the elbow. And that is just great advice, I guess. Like if you're ground and pounding some dude and you're able to control like one of his hands, obviously he's not able to protect his head as well. So why not just like elbow him, you know, like as hard as you can. Um, yeah. And Habib said, be careful during the stand up. Um, Nate between rounds apparently said to his corner, yeah, he's pretty good. That's funny. Um, so second round opened up. Umar was throwing some meme kicks. You know what I mean? No setup, just like throwing that shit in the air. Not really anything doing behind the kicks. Throwing around. Umar was at distance. Umar would switch into orthodox, and he was landing lead leg kicks from orthodox and roundhouse kicks from orthodox. Very valuable if you are um, if you're ever just facing somebody to where the open side, they're the say so from orthodox, your open side is the right side. You know what I mean? Because you don't have like your shoulder and your like left hand protecting your side as well as you do your right hand. You know what I mean? Your right side on like your right hand and arm can kind of protect like your stomach and your liver. So if you're orthodox, they're going to try to your opponent is going to try to like get to your liver. They're going to try to punch you in like the right side of your body. If you're in southpaw, your opponent's going to try to get you in the left side of the body because you're not able to protect the left side of the body as well. So yes, Umar was throwing the roundhouse kicks from orthodox to the body, landing well. Umar took his ass down, immediately established his half guard and gets in side control. Nate was helpless, man. Of course, Nate survived to the third round. It's pretty impressive, but Nate just looked like a fish out of water, man. And it's just a shame. Nate was getting elbowed from side control, and Bisping was decent tonight, I guess. Felder was decent tonight, but Bisping was just saying that, you're never gonna be able to catch up to a lifelong wrestler. You know what I mean? Regardless of how hard you work. And this dude Nate obviously has worked very hard. He's not just some shitty ass dude, but just the difference between a lifelong wrestler and somebody who started training, like later in their life is just monumental. You know what I mean? You just have so much. You're just gonna be playing catch up the whole time. You know what I mean? So Umar was in full mount. He was working for an arm triangle. It looked very similar to the position Islam had on Drew Dober when he choked out Drew Dober. That's a great performance. I'd recommend y'all watch that back because Drew Dober is just a tough fight for anybody. You know what I mean? But Islam made it look very easy. So Umar was starting the head and arm choke kind of, but there was nothing doing. Because Umar is just he looks very smart in there, and Habib is very smart. And rather than go for like a submission, they would rather have control so that you can work, and like they always talk about working, when they're on the ground, because if you can lay on somebody, but then the judges won't like it. If you're laying on somebody though and you're punching them in the face, the judges like it a lot more. You know what I mean? Yeah, Umar side control, just punching him, smothering him. Umar was just like stepping over him. He was just like stepping over him, like it was just dirty, man. It was really dirty. Nate turtled. Umar like stretched him out. Umar was in full mount. The corner of Nate was just shook, man. They were shook. They stood up and no, in between rounds, between the second and the third, Nate's corner was saying cross sides. Don't just come straight forward, cross sides. And that is very smart. Because if you're just coming straight forward, your opponent is going to be able to just like do whatever the fuck they want. They can just kick you because you're coming straight forward. They can just punch you, time you coming in if you're coming straight forward because they know the angle you're going to be coming in at. And if they know the angle, then they know the angle that they could punch you to where that it would connect, or kick you and that would connect. But if you're like switching angles and you're giving them like different looks, like who knows? You know what I mean? So decent advice, I guess, but I don't know. Nate is good. It's just apparently he trains at like kind of a smaller gym kind of deal, like in the country or something. It's just if you're a good ass fighter, like you got to be loyal to your soil, but like why not go to places that have the most like top fighters? You know what I mean? Respect to Nate. Um, Habib was saying to Umar that when you stretch him out, keep working. Pause. Um, yes. My Wi-Fi started being shitty at the beginning of the third. Umar was hitting him with the lead leg southpaw round kick to the body, really nice. Switching back to orthodox, hit Oh, this is when I think he hit him with like the teep to the face. You know what I mean? That nice ass push kick to the face. Um, it it was an amazing kick. It was very 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 fast. It created the illusion that Umar was going to kick him to like the torso or something, but Umar just brought it back up and kicked him in the head, bro. So dirty. That was just amazing, man. That was amazing. Um, Nate stepped in on a couple of the kicks and like made like hit Umar's shoulder and like hands and stuff, but he wasn't connecting. Off stepping in, trying to punch the kicks, wasn't working. Um, Umar was hitting him with a southpaw jab. It was nice. Kicking him so fast, no wind up to Umar's kicks. Um, he was teeping Nate from orthodox. But again, I was noticing that Umar's defense to when Nate would start trying to mount his own offense was just like running backwards and like ducking his head. You know what I mean? And if you're gonna keep fighting the upper echelon of the division, like that defense is not gonna fly eventually. You know what I mean? Nate was doing all he could to like try to land the left hand, but if Umar was keeping the distance too well. He was staying in kicking range very well, staying at range, and I feel like Nate. Of course, you could say this about any fighter in the UFC or in the MM. You could say this about any fighter ever. Jab more. Nate was not jabbing. Um, I guess he's just too scared to get too close to him. But it's just why just jab him, bro? Because I feel like it was there. Because Umar is not fucking Floyd Mayweather in there. You know, at like 3 minutes left, Umar tried to take his ass down. Nate stopped it initially, but Umar just kept working. He like got into the fence, lifted him up, put his ass down. 2 minutes 30 seconds left. Umar was in full guard, landing elbows. Got into side control, landing elbows, just really dirty elbows, really really dirty. Nate was like getting on, turn onto his side, trying to build a base, but Umar is the AKA people and of course the Dagestani people, they are amazing from that position. If the person is on their side, they can just work from that position and just punch and punch and like keep them from like getting into an advantageous position. Um, Umar was just looking dirty. He was in full guard, postured up, elbows, 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 punching him really hard. He was like doubling up on the elbows, like with his left hand, like 1-2 with elbows, dirty. Um, Yes, I thought the corner should have stopped it because he was just taking punishment needlessly. But um, yes, Habib looked big. Oh my God, Habib looked so big. He looks like a king, man. Um, Umar was really cool that Umar was speaking English, considering I've been watching him like from Habib's like fight vlogs and stuff. Like seeing his growth as an English speaker is really cool. I really respect that, man. Learning English is very hard. Um, it made me think that potentially Umar knew what questions Bisping was going to ask, um, because it just makes sense. Like, why not use Khabib's little brother as a, I don't know if it's his little brother or his cousin, but his name is Nurmagomedov. Um, why not boost, little Khabib? You know what I mean? Little Khabib with karate kicks. Why not boost him and give him the questions that you're going to ask so that he can have a cool call out? You know what I mean? Um, yeah, Umar was just saying he was ready. He was ready for anything. Let's see Umar against a good ass fighter. That would be awesome. Um, Olberg versus Nchukwi. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Yeah. Carlos Oberg, Tafon. Carlos Oberg in his previous fights, I felt he looked a lot more slim and less like a light heavyweight and more like a middleweight, you know. But in this fight, he just was huge. Shoulders were very broad, arms were bigger. Just everything about him just literally just looked bigger. He was against Tafon, and Tafon is not a small human being. I feel like he's just a good size for a light heavyweight. And Carlos looked as big as him. He looked very big, and I think that can only be a good thing for him. You know, considering light heavyweight has big motherfuckers. Um, but I mean, you know, of course, everybody in the UFC is on steroids, but and performance enhancing drugs. But it's just like the boys of City Kickboxing, they've figured it out, man. Like Alex is able to go 5 rounds without stopping. Izzy 5 rounds without stopping. Um, uh, you know, they have the right gear over there. You know what I mean? I don't really understand how the UFC won't like make it a point to like test the dominant champions like Israel and Alex, you know, more, you know, because they're on gear. Max Holloway is on gear. You know, all these dudes that are going 5 rounds without being tired, you know, they're on gear. And I feel like just everybody in the UFC is on gear. But yes, he looked good. He looked big. Caught. He was just kind of jabbing. Tafon, I think, kind of disregarded Carlos's power. Because Tafon was just kind of marching in and not really worrying about it, his power. And Carlos was able to catch him when Tafon was off balance with like a left hook, like a little shovel left hook, right on the chin. Really nice. Carlos didn't stop hitting him once Tafon went to the ground, even though he was moving. Really nice. Carlos himself acknowledged that he's very green to the sport of MMA and he needs more fights. And I totally agree with him. I think that he should keep fighting like low level competition and just working and working and trying to get better because he has a nice frame. He has a good jab. He is working with a good team. So you never know. Maybe he could. I definitely think he has the potential to get better from here because I feel like he got better from the last fight to this one. Um, I watched Rodolfo Vieja versus Chris Curtis. Um, Chris Curtis, decent fighter. Um, he was sprawling extremely well whenever Vieja would try to take him down, and that was helped in no small part to Vieja um, not setting up his takedowns well. He would throw the 1-2 and then immediately go in on the double leg, and it was just it was like a quick double leg from the 1-2, but it's just Curtis obviously was expecting that. You know, I think if Vieja would just throw the 1-2, maybe like body kick him or feint the level change, and just like keep working on that and trying to like make Curtis second guess to when Vieja would actually commit to the takedown, I think he would have been a lot more successful. But I literally think Curtis stopped every one of his takedowns. I'm pretty sure. Very demoralizing when your whole thing is wrestling and the person who is supposed to not be, you know, a shit hot wrestler is able to stop you. Very demoralizing. Um, Vieja in the first 2 rounds was hitting him a lot more. Not with good power or whatever, but he was just hitting him a lot more. But in the first 2 rounds, like Curtis won the first 2 rounds just off more activity and the better shots. But it was much closer in the first 2 rounds. Third round, Curtis had been going to the body extremely well from the uh, rear hand, you know, body shot. He was setting up the rear hand body shot very well, just hitting it at will. He would, since Curtis was southpaw and Vieja was orthodox, Curtis would hit him with the rear hand straight to the body. Then he would go upstairs. Very nice. Vieja would just cover up with the high forearms guard, not really looking at Curtis punching him. It was just a punching bag. Vieja is good. I'm glad his stand up looks better. His cardio is better. He's making better decisions, but he just is behind these fighters who have been like fighting. You know what I mean? So let's see Curtis against someone who is like athletic as him, and let's see Rodolfo potentially fight in a different league. I honestly think so. He should just like get wins over like shitty dudes. You know what I mean? So he can just get more experience. Then the big boys, the big boy Parisian, he said he didn't remember the shot that knocked him down. And if you can't remember the shot that knocked you down, you should be on a stretcher on your way to the hospital. That's not okay. He looked really bad, Parisian, talking to Bisping. He was not all there. You know what I mean? He should be on a stretcher. You know what I mean? Great fight card. Next week is Izzy versus Jared, Max versus Volk. Very excited. I will do my predictions for that. Thank you very much.